old school Sandler stuff was really like he used to beat up that, like, if there's an RFP process and you didn't already have a champion, you didn't write the RFP, you don't get the deal. Like, you might as well just hang it up and try for another opportunity. I'm wondering, and with the deal and the setup itself in today's like complex buyer journeys and more people involved, do you feel like that's still true? And again, like, what if we don't have one? Do we need to roll this back? Do we disqualify? Like, I love what you said about finding their personal impact. I think if you ask everybody you're talking to, like, what's in it for them, you're looking at like who has the most to gain and who you can make look good in this process to be your champion. But any other suggestions if we feel like we're just lost on who this person is?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is to just disqualify it if you receive an RFP out of hand probably is a mistake. Now, again, I look at an RFP and teach folks who are looking at RFPs as it's an invitation for a series of conversations. If they won't give you the conversations, you probably ought to disqualify it. Listen, it's on paper. You know what to do. Respond or not respond. You choose. Well, probably not respond. In fact, you probably at that point should send a letter that copies the highest people of the organization that literally says, I've chosen not to respond for a lot of different reasons. One is not really understanding specifically what you're going to achieve, why you're looking to achieve that, or what the good definition of a win could be. To me, it would feel like I'm practicing sales malpractice just to throw something against the wall and hope it sticks. I'd rather bow out. So oftentimes when you pull away, they may say, all right, well, what do you want to do? We'll set up a time to talk. But in those conversations is where you can begin to determine, can you grow? Can you foster a champion at some levels? So I wouldn't disqualify out of hand. But if they don't let me have the conversations, and the reason why I need the conversations is I want to do the best thing for you, Mike. I don't, in fact, I've used words, Mike, I don't want to be ignorant or arrogant, right? I mean, if I pretend to know exactly what you're looking for without having that conversation, I'm arrogant. If I just don't ask, well, then I'm ignorant. So those are the things that do from an RFP standpoint.
I like that. Now, as we move to the behavior bucket, a couple of things come to mind for me, but I was wondering about if you could kind of either walk us through maybe an enterprise sales process or the Sandler submarine and tell me where you think the champions are important so we do the right thing at the right time. We've already discussed, we want to have that pre-proposal meeting before we get there, and in pain discoveries, those are great. They can give you insights into other people in the buying committees and stuff. Are there any other times during the sales process that you think champions are important?
I think throughout the sales process, and in many cases, you're going to meet with different groups of stakeholders throughout the organization. One of the best ways to do that is if you're let's say you don't have your champion in that specific meeting, and now you're meeting with the operations group or you name it. I can get a chance to, these are not the best words, but triangulate the truth there. Had a meeting with the operations team. Wanted to share with you a little bit about what I've heard and make sure I get it right and get your feedback on this, Mike. Right. So throughout the process, I've got a chance to triangulate the truth. I've had folks just recently win a major deal with a major company where during the committee meeting, which he attempted to get invited to but was not invited to, we can talk about that too. His champions texting him during the meeting, hey, here's a question that came up. Any thoughts on best way to handle it? So you've really got someone in your corner. And this was a brand new service line in a consulting company, and the odds of it going through where they had no references, they had not done this before, they not have a champion, they have zero chance of winning.
I like that. And that was where I was going to go next. If we zoom in on sort of the fulfillment here, you've already talked about the before. Do you want to talk about the during and after of how we leverage our champion?
Sure. So again, I like to name things. I'm not saying I named them, but I like things with names. Passing the baton of power is a name. This one is called We Both Have a Role. And I like this because far too many people leverage their champion incorrectly by saying something that's close-ended, such as this. Mike, do you think it might be possible for me to have a chance to meet with the committee? And that's a yes or no question. Not many non-decision makers, they could be champions, could be slightly risk averse. And so they say something like, and your listeners will probably agree with what I'm saying, that, yeah, I've heard this before. The champion finds himself or herself saying, yeah, I think we can probably make that happen. You know what? Let me talk with them first. And then we don't necessarily get to the committee. The technique is called we both have a role. And so what it would sound like is this. Ms. Champion, can I make a suggestion? Sure, John, of course. I'll share with you typically what I find to be most effective at this point in the process. And if you can help me figure out the best way to coordinate. Yeah, John, what's that? At this point in the process, the most effective thing is both you and I have a chance to sit down with that committee, because in that meeting, we both have a role. Certainly your role as the insider is the one who understands sort of the unique requirements, what you've been tasked to do, the options you've considered, how you're working today. I can't do that, only you can. Me, as the potential partner, I'm the only one that can talk through staffing, scope, timing, pricing, terms. In that meeting, we both have a role, Mike. What's the best way to get this thing set up? So leveraging your champion to be able to move up and through the organization by tapping into what I would call social proof, typically what happens in this situation. It's a great technique that's, again, nothing's perfect, but it's more effective than saying, would it be possible potentially for me to have a chance to meet with so-and-so?